Well, hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the New Construction Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthon, and I'm very excited to introduce my guest for today, David Shepler. David is with Apex Chat, and his official title is Manager of Strategic Partnership and Alliances. That's a long one. So thank you so much for being here with me today, David. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you and to speak with your listeners. I appreciate the time.
So, David, we usually like to kick things off by giving our listeners a little bit of a backstory of who is David, what your journey has been, and what is it that you do now?
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. I'm located out in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is pretty much where I'm spent the majority of my life. And I've been working with Apex Chat now for actually over 8 years. And it's been a really great company to work for a number of reasons, which we'll probably touch on later today. But Apex Chat has been in business actually since 2008. So we've been around quite a while, before chat was really a known thing to many people. But I've sort of moved my way around since I came up with the company, starting in sort of an account management role and into sales, and now working more to form partnerships with. Primarily, we partner with a lot of online digital marketing companies or different manufacturers, things like that, to help bring our service that will benefit their clients, whether it's contractors or home builders, et cetera.
Yeah. So obviously the name kind of gives itself away, Apex Chat, but so what's the company's all about?
Yeah. So what Apex Chat is all about, and I know that a lot of your listeners, and probably more so even lately, have been hearing a little bit more about live chat or instant messaging or text-based communication, when they're learning more about different ways to increase leads that goes hand in hand with their digital marketing and things of that nature. So what Apex Chat does, and really what makes us unique, is that we provide a live chat service where we actually staff the live chat on behalf of our clients 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have our own trained chat operators on the other end. And we're basically set up very similar to, if you picture a call center, and I'm sure many builders out there may have a call center they utilize after hours to answer their phones and things like that. Well, we're set up where all we do is text-based communication. And the whole role of our service, so many people think of live chat and they may think of when they go to their online banking or maybe their cable company and they're doing some technical support type of thing. Our chat is purely designed around converting more of our clients' existing website traffic into qualified prospects through live chat.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, and I think I know the answer. So I was chatting with, I can't name any names specifically, but it's a tech company in home building, and basically they have a way to see what is happening on the consumer side. Like they can see when consumers are going on builders' websites and when they're shopping. And wouldn't you know, the hottest time for consumers to look for a house was on a Friday night, and it was like between the hours of like midnight to 3 a.m., which to me was a little bit surprising, but maybe it shouldn't be. So I assume the reason why you guys offer 24/7 chat is exactly because of that.
That's exactly right. In fact, a very interesting statistic that we found is that 42% of the leads that we capture for our clients are outside of normal business hours. So that's a huge number. And that really does highlight why, even if we're speaking with a business that potentially may have a live chat functionality, and maybe they have someone internally who's able to effectively manage those chats during the day. But if I ask them what happens at night or maybe even on weekends, they simply turn it off and maybe it turns into a contact form. So there really is a lot of opportunities left on the table if you don't have it available 24/7 for the reasons that you mentioned. And so that's definitely something that we highlight and talk about.
Yes. So many great things to dive into here. So I'm like a kid in a candy store a little bit, like, oh, which direction do we go? Because I get really excited about technology, and I get super excited about technology that allows consumers to self-service. We've seen in the home building industry that consumers are ready for self-service, and I think chat is part of that. And when you say 42% of all leads are engaging during off hours, that totally makes sense to me. And this is the same reason why you would offer self-touring in your community, is because people are oftentimes going to your community during off hours, not during the time when your model home is open. And I don't know about you, and I'm sure you've been in those situations when you're online chat, scrolling through, and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed. I found it, but let me just ask a quick question. And it says chat available. And I type something in, and I wait.
Yeah.
And I wait, and I wait, and nothing happens. So obviously this takes care of that, because I think one of the worst things you can do as a builder is to set the expectation that somebody's there to chat if somebody's actually not present to chat. Because as humans, I mean, we've been trained to either get what we want, and I'm sure you probably have some numbers for how long we are willing to wait for what we want, or I'm moving on to the next thing. And if I'm moving on to the next thing, like, bye bye, I'm trying to eliminate the builders, right? I'm trying to shop. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm actually going to maybe go in person and visit. So if you're not responding to me when I had asked you a question, then I'm moving on to the next thing. So I think that if you're going to offer chat, it is crucial that you set that expectation. When is it actually available? And if you're only using your, say, online sales counselor to answer the chat during business hours, you absolutely have to either take it offline for the hours that it's not available, or make it exceedingly clear to somebody that, hey, chat is not available right now. We're going to get back to you in whatever, 8 a.m. So I assume the whole reason why you guys decided to go with the 24/7 again falls straight into what I'm talking about here.
You really, yeah, you laid that out really well. And in fact, I take it one step further, where even if a builder has, let's say they do have a live chat and they have a sales counselor that's handling the chats during the day, many times they'll put somebody in charge of those chats, but a lot of times that person has other duties as well. They're also having to answer phone calls. Maybe there's people that are coming into their office, et cetera. So even during business hours, when they are technically the person who's supposed to be answering the chats, many times someone will initiate a chat even during the day. And again, to your point, they'll be waiting and nothing will happen. Or they'll step away from their desk and not log out, and those types of things. In fact, we had a really great example of that. We had a home builder that came on last year, and they did have a live chat button on their website. And more often than not, if you click that button, nothing was happening. And they admitted that to me when we spoke. They said, it's so hard for us to have somebody that's typically available to respond when somebody initiates the chat, because they are busy doing other things. And so when they decided to go with our service, their expectations of what they were going to receive in terms of leads coming through chat was fairly low, just based on their experience that they hadn't seen a lot of chat leads. But again, because there wasn't somebody there available and responding. So sort of, long story short on that, they were just blown away by the number of chat leads that were coming in once we took it over, and they were just absolutely thrilled. But they didn't realize that by having somebody there to respond immediately, not only during the day, but at night, what sort of impact that could make.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, okay. So again, I have 100 different directions and I'm like, whoa, okay. So again, when I was chatting with this company, they said that they were trying to measure what were some of the most effective marketing ways for builders to spend their money on. And for that particular builder, I know that they're using automated, like a chatbots, and they were seeing like close to 0% conversion on those leads. So can you talk to us about, you know, what can we expect as far as, you know, what's the difference between human versus automated chat, a chat bot, and you know, what kind of a conversion can you expect from a chat? Does it actually work?
Yeah, well, I can tell you it definitely works out of my 8 years here, and I can also tell you that by the way that we actually charge for our service, we know it really works too, because, and we may get into that a little bit more later, but our service with the staffed live chat with human, trained operators, is a pay for performance model, and we have no contracts. We only, charge for leads that meet certain criteria to our clients. And so because of the fact that our clients are only paying for leads that they're qualified, there's no contracts, and yet our retention rate is extremely high, because as soon as they add the service, they're seeing more leads. Those leads are turning into, more signed contracts, et cetera. If it didn't work, our clients could pull the plug at any time without any penalty. So that's sort of the first thing. What to expect in terms of expectations with our service is that on average, our clients typically will see about a 30 to 40% increase in the number of leads that they get from online visitors that are finding them on their website, et cetera, compared to whatever number of leads they were getting prior to adding us. Mm-hmm. The actual number of leads, of course, is going to be highly dependent on the amount of traffic coming to their website, how that traffic is being generated. But that really takes it back to, builders that are really investing time, money, resources into driving that traffic to their website. Obviously, the biggest thing is to maximize the conversion of that traffic once it gets there. And live chat and text is a huge piece of that puzzle.
Yes, yes. So it pains me when I see clients spend so much money driving traffic to the website, and then there's no call to action. There's nothing for me to really do on that website. It just looks pretty. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's super important to provide multiple channels for clients to engage with us, because again, I may feel comfortable calling you. And I think for most people, there's an expectation that if I'm going to call you, it's usually going to be during the business hours, right? Like I'm not picking up a phone at 3 a.m. to call a builder. Like that's just not happening. But right. There's totally an expectation that if a chat is advertised on a website at 3 a.m., that I will get an answer at 3 a.m. So it is about providing as many different ways for your clients to engage in a conversation with you. And you have to think about like, who is it that that's buying your house? Like we know that according to Zillow study, the most recent one, 39% of all buyers are the millennials. And we know that millennials are super comfortable with technology. And, so having that chat really gives your client a comfortable option to engage with you without picking up the phone. And I don't know about you, David, but I would rather chat pretty much, I'd say 9 out of 10 times rather than picking up a phone. The only time I want to pick up a phone is if it's a super complex situation where I really need to get to the bottom of it. That is confusing. But if I have questions about, hey, what are your hours? Are the model homes actually open? When can I come in? All of that can be accomplished via chat. And in fact, I think it makes me angry sometimes, when the chat option is advertised and I'm typing it in, but again, it's not available. And then I have to go and maybe pick up the phone, or saying like, oh, you really have to call for that. And it's like, well, the reason why I'm chatting is because that's the comfortable medium for me. And I think there's a lot of people who like to maintain that anonymity on the website. And I think chat feels more comfortable for us, as consumers, that it's less committal maybe, but at the same time, in order for me to make that commitment, I have to get some of those questions answered. And so, by having that chat option, it certainly accomplishes that. Now, let me ask you a question about the level of engagement with these operators. So obviously, it's a call center type of a setup where they're chatting. I assume they don't know every single thing there is to know about the builder. So I would say the most important expectation to set with builders here is that the fact is their primary role is to set that next step, set that next appointment. So I think good way to think about it is almost like having that online sales counselor who is answering the calls for you, who is fielding those inquiries during the day. Their role is to not sell a house for you. Their role is to set that next step, set that next appointment. So am I right here in assuming that what they're trained to do is essentially get an appointment?
Yeah, really. Our main role is to, first of all, welcome somebody to the site, treat them in a friendly manner, ask and answer some simple questions, more or less pre-qualify to find out, is this person indeed, in the market shopping for a new home? Are they indeed interested in one of the homes or communities that that builder is offering, et cetera? And then starting to redirect that conversation towards, coming in for a tour, or would you like to, speak to one of our sales team members, et cetera, to set something up. One thing that I always let people know is that, to your point, our chat operators, they're not going to know everything there is to know about a particular home builders community, or everything there is to know about, the home building industry in general.
Mm-hmm.
But what our agents are experts in, what our expertise is converting a visitor on a website into a prospect for the business by doing these things that I mentioned. And they work off of a script, and the script is customized to a point for each builder, so that we're aware a little bit about that community. We're aware of the communities they offer, the different models. Do they have certain financing things available? We also know in our business that not all the chats that we get are going to be a prospect looking for a new home. We may be getting people chatting with us that have a home warranty issue, and so they're contacting the builder. It could be somebody trying to sell the builder a service, and which again we'll get into later. We actually don't bill for those chat inquiries, because it's a service that quite frankly comes with what we do, where we're fielding those chats for the builder. We're still going to send them the information, but if it's not an actual new prospect that is looking to potentially purchase one of their homes, then we actually don't bill them for the chat. One other thing I wanted to mention, talking about people who prefer chat or phone calls and things like that, is one thing to remember, because occasionally I'll speak with somebody about our service and they'll say, boy, I hate chat. I don't use chat. For me, I pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. I mean, those people that prefer to call and pick up a phone, they're going to do that. They're not going to chat. But what we're there for is, to your point, the millennials, the Gen X, the Gen Y, this audience that they almost expect when they go to a website to have some way to either chat or text message. And you don't want to miss out on that group. And the other time people will chat is, let's say somebody's doing a search from their place of business. Maybe they're in their office and they decide that they've got a little bit of time to do a search. Well, it may not be appropriate for them to be on the phone talking to a builder, but if there's a chat, that's a great way for them to start the engagement process and start that first reach out to the builder. And then, we're able to pass that information along and then schedule something via phone or in the office later.
Yes, for sure, for sure. As a lot of people working from home, and and as we're returning back to the office, we definitely do a lot of home shopping from there.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the difference between a human chat versus, chat bots, because I think in this industry we've been hearing a lot about chat bots. Do you guys do both, or is it only humans? What are some of the advantages versus disadvantages?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think both can be effective. And I, we actually now currently offer both options, and we just started doing that this year. So
Hmm.
since 2008, our core has always been staffed live agents, and quite frankly, that does get a higher tick in conversion than chatbots. There's no
Hmm.
question about that. We've done our comparison. But certainly having a chat bot is better than having nothing at all. And depending on how you set them up, typically, you create like a chat a tree where you ask certain questions and then you have these automatic responses and so forth. And they can definitely be effective. Um, the majority of our clients are on live agents. They want a real person. Um, we know that just by some of the research that we've done, and both internally and externally, that there's still people out there that feel uncomfortable chatting with a bot. They just don't feel like they're going to get the service they're looking for and that type of thing. Obviously, with real agents, we can be a little bit, you can be more personable, you can be a little more flexible with the chat and that kind of thing. So you know I certainly recommend, like, if I'm speaking with somebody, even though we offer both, after I'm speaking to them and getting a sense of sort of what it is they're looking for exactly, I'm still a fan of the live agents. The cost is a little bit more for live agents, and the way we price it is a little bit differently.
Hmm.
But you're going to see a better result at the end of the day
Yeah.
overall.
So this makes me think of International Builder Show. I want to say it was 2 years ago, where I remember specifically Dennis O'Neill was in with O'Neill Interactive. He was doing a presentation, and they were kind of like taking the opposite view of the, like, so he's all pro tech, but
Hmm.
they were arguing the other side,
Hmm.
as like a comical situation. And
Hmm.
so they were talking about chatbots, and I specifically remember the conversation with the chatbot. It's, a consumer texted something like, "We need a house ASAP. Our house just burned down." And the chat response was, "Great news. We have a house for you."
Right,
Right.
right, right. That's exactly right. Whereas if you have a human agent, they're going to say, gee, I'm sorry to hear that, and
Right.
then kind of take it from there. Yeah, no, that's right.
So I'm sure there's like a lot of those really funny conversations that you can pull up from automated chat. But I agree with you. I think it's important to offer something,
Yeah.
so that your consumers have an option to engage with you. And again, I think when it comes to people, I think everyone have their preference. Like for me personally, I, I think I would be comfortable using the automated chat. And because again, with the human chat, it is like a 1 degree of separation, right? You're getting closer to a human, but I
Mhm.
certainly expect that the human is going to be able to answer more complex questions than a chat bot would. So using humans, that sounds really expensive. So can you talk to us about the cost structure? Like, what can I expect to pay if I'm using a live human to chat?
Yeah, and so I think what many of your listeners will find is that it's not as expensive as we're building it up to be. At least probably their expectations are a little different than what I'm going to mention. So as I said, we charge on a per qualified lead basis with our staffed agents. And again, that means that if you sign up with our service, there's no monthly fee, there's no monthly minimum charges, and again, there's no contract. So first of all, what is a qualified lead? A qualified lead that we would bill for would be anybody who initiates a chat where we do get their name, their contact information. They have to be somebody in the market for a new home that's interested in one of their communities. And they have to be interested in connecting with somebody to, come in for a tour, or, speak with one of their sales consultants, et cetera. So there has to be that intent there. Any chats that do not meet that criteria, and we know, I mean, we handle thousands and thousands of chats, and this is actually another benefit to a service like ours, is that you're not having your sales counselor, somebody internally, sort of bogged down with a lot of other chats that really may not be relevant. You're going to get some that maybe sort of spammy. You're going to get some where it may be an existing potential buyer that you've already been in contact with, and maybe they have an appointment that they're looking to reschedule, or they're trying to get in touch with a sales member that they've been working with. We actually will chat with those people and forward their information on, and we don't bill for those. Same thing if somebody is there, and again, it's a warranty related issue and so forth, we're going to guide them to where they need to go and contact the builder about it, but we don't bill them for that. So what we charge for a lead that is billable is $15 for home builders, qualified lead. So, and we bill on a monthly basis, once a month. So if we were to get a home builder 10 leads that were qualified in a month, their bill from us would be $150. It's very clear cut. We do have some home builders that we work with where they're getting a pretty high volume of leads because of all this other stuff that they're doing to get traffic to their site, and they think it's awesome. But we're also very easy and flexible to work with in regards to if somebody is getting a large volume and maybe they want a consistent monthly bill. So we'll work out a monthly flat rate with them based on their volume. So it's typically, whenever I speak to a prospect, I think it's extremely fair for what we're delivering at that price point.
Yeah, I mean, $15 a lead, I'll take that any day over, some of the more expensive services out there that, that like closer to $500 for 2 leads from, some of those like Zillows, etc. It's, and you're not sure if that's necessarily qualified person or not. So yes, it's I'm surprised how affordable it is, for sure. And I think the bottom line here is that as consumers, as just like anything you do every single day, like we're used to using chat. Like if you think about your phone, like you use it for text messaging probably 90% of the time, right? Maybe more.
Yep.
We're texting first, then we're calling. Same thing with even at work. A lot of people are using Slack and other systems where we're chatting with our team members. So we are constantly involved in a chat. Like if you look at stats for Messenger, for Facebook, and now of course Instagram, I mean, it's through the roof. And in the last 10 years, that number has grown drastically. And it's because we're in a culture, or in such a position where we feel comfortable with chat. It's familiar. So when I see chat option on a website, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to engage with that. So it's I think it's a must have for anybody who's trying to sell homes right now, because for sure you can't just leave it up to consumer and miss out on that 42% of all the leads that are coming in during off hours. And even think about, like, if your only option is to call a builder, like I would have to be pretty far along to call somebody
Right.
at this point. So, and again, it's much easier for me to engage. And once you engage them, hey, maybe there's a better opportunity to actually convert them into a lead if I'm willing to come in and check it out. So
It's
I think
really
it's,
about lowering that barrier of entry,
yes.
and a nice little segue, what you were talking about, Facebook Messenger, you were talking about text messaging and all of this. So one thing that I really want to make sure that people also understand about our service is it's not only live chat on the website, but we do have, for example, we integrate with Facebook Messenger. So if there's home builders that's doing paid ads on Facebook, or they have a heavy presence there with their business page, they can literally plug us in to where if somebody messages them through Facebook Messenger at any time, we would also be able to respond from there. Same thing, we have an integration with Google My Business now. So for home builders that have a Google My Business listing or on Google Maps, you can have a message button there. And again, somebody without even getting to your website can initiate that engagement, send a message, and we will be responding 24/7. We have a text messaging feature with our service. So if somebody's on their cell phone, and to your point, most people are very comfortable just texting. That's their preferred method of communication. So they can also send a text message, and that will come to our chat agent. And when we respond, it comes back as a text message. So we've really sort of tapped into all these different text-based communication channels that you really need to in terms of maximizing, again, your conversion. And we can be there to make sure that those inquiries are being responded to quickly in a timely manner and not letting those opportunities get away.
That's great. So, question for you: thinking about the service. I mean, there's so many different businesses that can use it, but I'm also thinking specifically about contractors. So, is there a minimum for, when should I consider this feature? Like, if I'm a small contractor, and I have a website and I have maybe the chat option integrated on my website, um, but maybe I'm not a huge guy. I'm, mom and pop type of shop. So is there like a minimum threshold where somebody would use your services, or, is there like kind of
Yeah.
if you're expecting X number of chats or X number of traffic to the website, that's when you want to consider it, if you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, really, when it comes to our service, the prerequisite is that you have to be getting some amount of traffic on your website. Otherwise, you can put our service there. Nothing negative will happen, but if there's no traffic, there's nobody for us to engage with and chat with. Now, what I will say though is we do work with a lot of smaller contractors. In fact, we work with 4,000 to 5,000 contractors, and we have partnerships with manufacturers like Owens Corning for roofing contractors, and Timo sunrooms, a bunch of different things, whether it's with heating and air conditioning companies, roofers, remodelers, etc. And one thing that I'll tell you though is that even if it's a small contractor, mom and pop, and maybe they're just starting to get into a little bit of online marketing, a little bit of doing some things to start to get traffic to their website. The way our service, the way we price it, it's a great way where you can add it on right away. And really, we will grow with the business, because as they get more traffic, it's almost a nice measuring stick, because you'll start to see more chat leads come in, the more traffic comes. And we basically will grow with that business as it comes along. But worst case scenario, if there's nobody for us to chat with and they don't get any leads, and they're really not paying us anything either. So, but yeah, I would encourage anybody who, whether they're investing a lot today and obviously they want to maximize that conversion, or they're just starting out, it's a great feature to implement.
Yeah, actually thinking about the small mom and pop type of a contractor, it's probably even more crucial for them, because like a lot of times those guys are the owner operators and they're on the job site, doing the project. And so they're not available to answer the call or to answer the text message from somebody who is, maybe asking about their service and asking about their availability for this project. And as we know, usually consumers tend to go with the first business who responds. I want to say it's like 78% of all consumers end up going with a company or a person who responds first. So that is a huge advantage. Like, say if I am a consumer and I'm looking for a new roof and I'm reaching out to several contractors, on their website, and the first person to reach back out to me is probably, going to get my business. So that's a really good use for that as well. So David, thank you so much for being here. As we wrap things up, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would recommend builders look into, or any best practices when it comes to chatting?
Well, one thing I did want to mention, because there may be some curiosity in terms of like how we deliver the information that we get through chat. So first of all, we send leads directly to the clients via email. It can go to as many email addresses as they would like. But in addition to that, we can send them text message notifications, and we also integrate into CRM systems. So if you're a builder that's using a CRM, we actually can, as soon as the chat ends, we send the transcript immediately into your CRM. So we've got a lot of different things. We integrate with Google Analytics. So if you're, heavy into tracking everything you're doing, include this into that. We're very feature rich, and we've got a lot of different things that I would be happy to speak with, builders or contractors individually about if they reach out to us. And also the other thing I would say is, comparative to some other things that you do, right? Like if a builder or contractor is looking to just get started, they want to get a website, they want to do all these online marketing things, that can take some time, right, to get up and going. And it's a pretty, complex project sometimes. With our service, it's super easy to get started. It's literally, there's some questions that we need someone, the business to answer that in order to set up their account. But literally, we can be live with our service on a website within like 2 to 3 business days. So it's super easy. There's very low risk. Again, there's no contracts or anything like that. So anybody who's interested in testing this out and letting it speak for itself, don't hesitate to reach out. That's for sure.
Amazing. And so, David, if somebody wanted to reach out to you directly, if they have any questions, where do you hang out online? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
For me, certainly they can contact me directly at Apex Chat, via email or phone. My email is D like David Shepler, SCHEPPLER at apexchat.com. My phone number, anyone's available to call or text me, 925-237-9202. And I know we've actually created a co-branded landing page link for any listeners that are going to actually get a special break on the service if they, come to us as a result of this podcast, where we're going to give them 50% off our initial setup fee. So we're really going to make it simple for them to get on board and test it out.
That's amazing, David. Thank you so much for that. And you guys, if you want to check that out, all you need to do is head on over to AnyaChrysanthemum.com/chat. Figured it's as easy as chat, right? So
That's right. And anybody, we certainly encourage anybody to go to that landing page just to guarantee you get that 50% off. If you decide to contact me directly, or if you go to apexchat.com and submit your information any other way, please make sure that you heard about us through Anya, so that we can definitely make sure that you're honored by getting that special discount.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, David. And again, it's AnyaChrysanthemum.com/chat if you want to check out the service. David, thank you so much for being on today and sharing this great information. Again, I think our industry is ever more customer centric, and chat really gives you an ability to engage with your customers and provide personalization. And it's all about personalization. These days, people expect personalization from marketing, personalization and response. And what better way to provide that personal attention than to chat, especially if you're chatting with a live person. So David, thank you so much again. I appreciate your time, and I will speak with you very soon.
I appreciate it, Anya. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.